Hi, ladies. Welcome to Monday morning, March 23rd. And I really wanted to go over a number of things, questions that were asked, things that came up last class, as well as talk to you about review questions and how we're going to handle it. So first of all, let's start with our daily prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord our God, protect us in your spirit. Strengthen our hearts, especially when we often have to bear suffering, that we may be steadfast in hope and may again and again experience the day of salvation. Protect us in every way. Accept our praise and thanks, and let our hearts rejoice in what you have already done for us. We want to discern your ways more and more, so that we may please you as your servants. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So first thing we would normally start class is with review questions that all of you start providing. And I wanted to go ahead and get that started again. So I sent an email out to everyone on Saturday indicating some of this information, but I just wanted to go over it one more time verbally with you. So students who are responsible for questions, I'm asking that you email me your review questions, and I have on the email an indication of the time frame that I need you to email it to me so I can get them posted up on P-Learning. If I get them soon enough, I will start putting them here in this video, and you'll be able to do them right from this video. Since it's the first time, I don't have them yet, so you're going to have to go to P-Learning and I will have them posted out there. I will attempt to put them in a document as well as just text on the page, so either way you want to look at it, you should be able to do that. So when you send me the questions, I really would prefer to have them typed so I can copy them easily into the document. So I'm going to ask, at least for the time being, not to handwrite them. And you always want to have one unit conversion problem. We need to keep practicing on that, so I would like one of your 5 to be a unit conversion problem. For your answers, have them on a separate page so that they're not embedded in between your questions. That'll make it easier for me to copy and paste, but you are still responsible for supplying the answers. You will still receive your usual bonus points and as well as credit for the classroom assignment. This is very different now as far as the responsibility for all students, where normally when we're in class, we ask for volunteers to answer the review questions. This time you are all going to be responsible for completing the problems, showing the work, writing it out, and turning them in as part of your daily classwork. So this is a change. You are only going to be responsible for completing the review questions assigned to your block, not all 3 blocks. I will be posting all 3 blocks together on P-Learning because I have it set up right now so that everybody is accessing the same P-Learning page, and all the documents and things that are up there are shared amongst blocks 6, 7, and 8. So again, you're only responsible for the review questions for your block, and I will do my best to make it very clear which questions go with which block. So I'll post all those questions after I've received them for the block on P-Learning. They'll be filed under the Distance Learning tab by the date they are assigned, and they are considered classwork, so they are going to be due at noon the next day. So the ones that come out for today, Monday, will be due tomorrow, Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So just to quickly show you the review question assignments, in case you did not see the email, I set up with the people who had already been assigned or scheduled to do review questions. We had a few people who were either absent, late, didn't do them on the day we had the test or something. So block 6 and 7 are going to have 2 sets of questions, at least initially, and block 8 will only have 1 per day. So if you have any questions regarding the review questions, just let me know. So another update. I've really enjoyed reading about what you've been doing. I have been thoroughly being entertained by some of the things and the diversity between things that you shared with me last week about your week and what you're doing. Everything from stuff about dogs and horses to walking and more exercise and catching up on sleep and videos and writing. I mean, there's so many things in here. It is awesome to have an opportunity to hear from you guys what's going on and what you're doing. So please keep on sharing with me. I'm leaving that on your survey form for the end of the class. So thank you so much. There's a few of you where I may be getting back in touch with you about a specific thing that you asked, but I have really enjoyed that. I am expecting some guidelines from Mr. Byer coming up soon about virtual office hours, and I'll get that going as soon as I have the school guidelines. There was a lot of talk about when and how and what we were going to use, and I didn't want to try to set anything up until I had some guidelines from Mr. Byer about what he wanted us to do. So regarding homework submission, I'm really sorry that submitting things was so chaotic last Thursday, but you guys did great and persevered. And I learned quite a few things about PowerSchool and how it's set up. And there's some people who I have to contact regarding some of that. And if you do not have a grade posted for something that you turned in or attempted to turn in, it may be because there was a formatting issue. So in that light, I've learned that photos on an iPhone that are in a format HEIC, it's not recognized by PowerSchool, as well as our email can't open them. So that is a new format that Apple came out with earlier in January, and not all applications can recognize that. So in light of this, to try to minimize as many issues as we have with it moving forward, I'm going to ask that you put all of your photos for your homework into a document and send or submit them together so it comes in as a document or a PDF or a Google Doc. This should minimize that issue because I found anybody who had their photos submitted as an HEIC file, I can't open on anything. So just a word of if you're having problems with that, that may be the reason. So moving forward, put all of your photos in one document. You should be able to upload those again to PowerSchool. And I'm hoping that all of the upgrades that PowerSchool did with us or for us over the weekend on Sunday will make everything much easier moving forward. So if I have not heard from you at all via either your homework submissions, filling out the survey, or sending me any emails by Wednesday morning, I have been asked to contact guidance. So if you have not been doing any of your classwork or homework, please get some of that started, because guidance is asking us to stay on top of it by contacting them, and they may be reaching out to parents. So if you haven't been doing anything, we want to be sure that there are no issues or other things that we need to address or help you with. So another personal update. I figure I can actually take the time right now to give you a couple of more pictures about things and things that I would be sharing in class at some point. So I pulled a couple of pictures from our trips. So there is a picture over here on the left of a manta ray. This is a neat shot that my daughter actually got. There's a manta ray over here, and you can see the sunlight in the background. This is near the surface of the water. There's all these little fish that it was kind of going after. It has these things, I don't remember the names of them, but to help them like filter the fish in and the water into them. So that is one of my pictures that I really like from our trip to Yap. And secondly, here's another picture from Yap. This is the place of the stone money, the land of the stone money. And they used to use this as their form of currency. So they actually refer to this area as the stone bank. The stones are actually different sizes. You can see a lot of them here. Some of them are smaller, some of them are big, some of them are smooth, some of them are rough, and they all have these holes in the center that they would put a piece of wood or a log through, and they would carry them because this stone is really big and quite heavy. This stone is actually taller than any of us are. So this was another picture that we took when we were on land in Yap. It was kind of neat. And right now, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on our trips and recognizing that our spring break trip has been canceled to go diving, and most likely our summer trip has also been canceled. So I'm kind of reliving our recent trip over the holidays to reflect on things that we got to do and things that we got to see over the holidays. If there's anything that I've mentioned in class or something that you want to see that I haven't shared, go ahead and send me some ideas. I'm happy to share other pictures or other things if there's something that you're interested in. So feel free to contact me if there is anything else. So I have one more thing that I wanted to go over. You guys sent me quite a few different questions on the survey, and a couple of them I wanted to just go over verbally. So first one was, are we supposed to take notes during the PowerPoint? No, you're not. You don't need to take notes during most of the PowerPoints. I have guided notes in your packet when that's necessary. So other than that, you don't really need to take notes. I am not really running class any differently than I would if we were together, and I typically do indicate if there's anything extra that you need to take notes on. I did get a question, will school close for the rest of the year? I really don't know the answer to that. I'm videoing this on Saturday evening, and we may know more by the time we get to Monday morning, but I don't know. I think looking at what we've heard and what we've seen so far, it's not unlikely that we will be out for a little longer than the original projected 3 weeks, but I can't even guess what this is going to be looking like in a month from now. Next question was, will we be able to see the last test we took? I would like to say yes. However, I think the realistic answer is no, because I have no easy way or good way of scanning all of those tests and putting them out so you can see them. So I am planning on doing a video that's just dedicated to going over things that I saw as real issues, which a lot of people missed. And what I may have to do is contact students individually and just kind of go over some of the other things that they may have missed. So I'm kind of waiting to see if we're going to be back to school sooner rather than later. I may just hold off on actually going over them individually. If it's going to be a while, I will definitely do something to incorporate having you guys know what you missed. I did get the, do you think we'll be going back to Beaumont this year? That's kind of like, will school close for the rest of the year? I do think we're going to go back to Beaumont. I don't know when. I really believe that in light of the way the situation is, I think even if we were to go to the end of the school year, not returning into the building, I am 100% certain that we will do something to get back together, because of it would just be so much healthier for us and better for all of us to be able to see each other and reunite and get to see each other face to face. So I really do think we're going to be back together face to face. I just don't know when. Question, are we going to have tests online? As I've said before, I'm not sure what format I'm going to make my tests. And I'm still trying to wrap my brain around how to do this because obviously this is all new to me. Are we going to have a test on this lesson? Yes, you will definitely have something on this lesson to ascertain your understanding and knowledge because a few things in here are pretty important to move on. Another question, what if I can't get onto PowerSchool? If you can't get onto PowerSchool, definitely email me. However, I think that these Edpuzzle videos are set up so that even if PowerSchool is having issues, you should be okay without being onto PowerSchool. So I will go through, I think that's all of the questions that were not really content related. I'm just glancing at everything. Yeah, that looks pretty much like everything. So those are all the questions that were not content related. And if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to let me know or put it in your survey. So I'm going to be doing a demonstration here with a hand boiler, and I'm going to have to pause the video to be able to insert that in. So I will do that. Hi ladies, so my demo for today is going to be using a hand boiler, which some of you may have seen one of these previously. So these are kind of neat little devices. They've got some liquid in there and this curly tube as well as some vapor in there. So what happens when you put your hand over the bottom, the liquid moves up to the top and it actually looks like it's boiling, which is why they call it a hand boiler. So it's just by the heat from your hands. And then when you remove your hand, the liquid will start going down and you can hold on to the top. So this is a demo that I normally show in class right around this time every year, and I wanted to have the opportunity to show it to you as well as take an opportunity to talk about this. So the way this hand boiler works is as you heat the liquid and the gas up down here at the bottom, remember we talked about molecular motion and that as you heat something up and the temperature increases, you're actually increasing the molecular motion. So you are causing both the liquid and the gas to increase their spacing between the molecules. And because of that, the gas is actually increasing its volume so much that it's pushing the liquid up the tube up to the top. It's actually pretty cool. So this hand boiler is like a child's toy that a lot of people have used to demonstrate a number of things, but it displays and it utilizes some of the concepts that we've been talking about in class. So just the heat from my hand is enough to cause the gas in there to start moving a little bit, all those molecules moving a little bit faster, and it starts pushing the liquid out of the way. It's actually a very special liquid in here. It doesn't work with everything because it has to have these properties close to room temperature, where that at room temperature it will be staying down here, but just the slight increase in temperature from your hand will allow the vapor to expand, because remember the molecules move more and the distance between the molecules increases as the temperature increases, and that's how this works. So demo for today, hand boiler, and this is pretty neat. So I'm going to suggest that you make a note about this somewhere in your notes about what was happening in the hand boiler demonstration. One, for you to be able to look back on and recall. And two, it's actually kind of a good test question for explaining how does a hand boiler work and why does it work. So I will continue with the rest of the class. Hi ladies, I wanted to go ahead and get started with the next part of our lessons in chapter 3. So last time I talked about states of matter in solids, liquids, and gases, as well as physical properties, chemical properties, intensive, extensive, and I know a number of students had some questions about intensive and extensive, so I'm going to go over that a little bit more today, as well as continue talking about physical changes and chemical changes and elements and compounds. So your homework that was due today is 3.3 and 3.4, questions 19 through 29. And hopefully PowerSchool is working much better now than it was. Things that you need today are the video on Edpuzzle, which you obviously have if you're already listening to that. The PowerPoint is contained in the video. I will also post it up on P-Learning. You do need your blue packet and your pink packet. If you do not have printouts of your blue packet or pink packet, you really do want to try to get a handle on both of those. We're going to do some more in the pink packet, some of the pages that we have not done, and you're probably going to want copies of those. So for your prime time, you're going to be working on the pink packet, page 23, working on this. And this is going to look very familiar to you. This is volume displacement. There are 3 problems on here for you to work on. Number 1 has an irregularly shaped rock going into a graduated cylinder. Please pay attention to sig figs as you're reading your measurements here. Number 2 is very similar. Number 3 is 3 steps. You have over here, they put 1 rock in and raise the volume up, and then they add a second rock, and then they add a third rock, and they ask you to find the volume in each of these. And number 4 asks a little bit more deeper into this. Once you've completed this page, you're going to take the information from question number 3 and take a look at the problems that are here. So I'm going to ask you to determine if these rocks that were in this problem, if the first one was a rectangular prism, also known as a cuboid, and you know the length and the width, could you find the height because you already know the volume? The second rock, I'm giving you a length and a width and asking you to calculate the height. And the third rock is no longer a cuboid, it is a cube, and it has all sides being equal. Can you find and solve for what those dimensions are? So pause the video for a moment, work on this page, and once you've completed it, go ahead and resume the video. Homework answers for 3.1 and 3.2. If you do have any questions on any of these answers, please make a note of them in your survey at the end of the lesson so I know what questions you have. So give me an idea if it was questions in the textbook, whatever number it was, and I can go over those in my next video. So take a moment, go over these. Here are the answers to question number 17 with all of the chemical and physical changes that are going on. Again, please make a note of any questions that you don't understand the answers to. So going back and taking another look at intensive and extensive, a reminder, these are only for physical properties, not for chemical properties. They are only for the properties, not the changes. So extensive depends on the amount of matter, and intensive does not depend on the amount of matter. So Taking another look at it, kind of a way to think about it is, if I take a cup of water and add more to it, will the property I'm considering change? If it does change, it's extensive. So if you're looking at mass and you've got a cup of water, and you then compare it to the mass of a cup of water plus a second cup of water, is the mass going to be the same? And the answer is no, it will not be the same. So therefore, mass is extensive. Considering boiling point, if you take that cup of water and measure its boiling point, will that boiling point be the same when you add a second cup of water to it? The answer is yes. With boiling water, it doesn't matter how much you have, the boiling point is still the same. What about volume? If you have a cup of water and you determine its volume, and then you compare that to the volume of the original cup of water plus the second cup of water, your volume is definitely going to change. So that is extensive. Finally, considering color. If you have a cup of water, will its color be the same as the color in a cup of water and a second cup of water? Well, yes. Once you've mixed them, they're the same color. So hopefully that will help most of you. If it doesn't, definitely send me a message or fill out something on the Google form. I'm also posting a practice worksheet if you feel like you would like some more practice. However, this is not assigned. It is just for you to do in case you feel like you need it. Here are some of the answers. Most of these you've already seen. Page 5 in the blue packet, you already saw the answers, so I'm not posting that again. Page 6 was gone over in the video, but if you need to look at it, here it is. Feel free to pause the video and take a look. But we did fill that out together in the last video. Page 7. Here are the answers. A couple of comments on this. I think there's a few of these that students typically find a little tricky. Number 5 and number 10. So number 5 is, when mixed with water, the substance did not dissolve, it was insoluble. And since you're just mixing, there is no chemical reaction, it is intensive. The same is true with number 10, sugar dissolves in vinegar. That is also intensive because you're mixing, you're not actually having a reaction, you're not having any of those changes in what you have. So sometimes when you think about number 10, people think it might be extensive because you can reach a point where you can't add any more sugar and it will no longer dissolve. But we're really not looking at the extreme limits. We're actually just deciding or determining whether it can dissolve or not. So it makes it a physical property and it is intensive. And there was a corny pun. What happened when Bob was told to eat corn? It went in one ear and out the other. Page 8, you should have copied this during the PowerPoint in the last class. And here are my pieces that I've added. If you did not add this information about the physical change, adding, removing parts, tearing, ripping, folding, taping, then I suggest you add that here, because that's one more item that a lot of people tend to forget. And a question for you, do you know these 5 clues? If not, I'm going to recommend that you try to memorize them. So again, the 5 clues that a chemical change has occurred is when you get an unexpected color change, you have heat or light or smoke given off, bubbles of gas are formed, a solid material forms in the liquid, and then I had written over here, unexpected temperature change. So it needs to be unexpected, and these are the 5 changes. Pages 20, 21, 22 in your pink packet, here are the answers. Length was extensive, temperature is intensive, and volume is extensive. And here are some other answers. You could have had different units for measuring temperature or volume, and those still would be fine. So let's do a little bit of practice with physical and chemical changes. Again, you really do need to know those 5 clues in order to do these with ease. I'm going to do the even numbers, and I'm going to have you do the odd numbers for classwork. So once I finish doing the even numbers, go ahead and pause the video and finish the page. So number 2, you find a nail on the ground in the parking lot in a small puddle of water. Rust has formed on the outside of the nail. Was this a physical or chemical change? And explain your answer. So rust forms when the iron from the nail contacts oxygen in the presence of water. And rust is another chemical, which is known as iron oxide. So this is a chemical change because we now have a new chemical there. Number 4. You pick up an ice cream sandwich from the school cafeteria and you stick it in your hoodie pocket so your hands are free to hand the cash over to the cafeteria worker. You run into your chem lab partner on your way to your seat and he tells you your homework is due next period. You forgot all about your ice cream and tell you to pull the plastic full of mush out of your pocket later on in the afternoon. Is this a physical or chemical change? And explain your answer. It is a physical change. It is basically melting your ice cream. The chemical composition hasn't changed. If you could freeze it back, it would still be your ice cream. However, I think your pocket would be a mess. Number 6. You get a can of soda from the vending machine and your friend maliciously shakes it when you're not looking. You open the can of water and it fizzes all over your desk, making you regret you had brought it to the lab in the first place. Is this a chemical change or a physical change? And explain your answer. It's actually both. So there's carbon dioxide bubbles in the soda, and when they leave the liquid, they're just gas molecules coming out of solution, which is a physical change. But as the carbon dioxide levels drop in the solution, chemicals within the soda produce more carbon dioxide, and that's actually a chemical change, which is why it seems like it's a bigger volume as soon as you open the thing up. So you actually have both a physical and a chemical change there. That one's a little more complicated. If you were to see something like this on the test and could explain what you were thinking, either the chemical or the physical, it's fine. So please pause the video and answer questions 1, 3, and 5. So on page 10, we have lab chemical and physical changes. So these have pictures of things in the lab that you might see, and some of them are a little challenging to interpret, so that's why I want to work with you through all of these so you can kind of see what the pictures are trying to represent. So in the first one, they have an ice cube that they're going to put into a beaker of water. And in the second one, you can see the ice cube is no longer present. It's actually dissolved. So the ice cube melts. So the event that's occurring is melting. And is melting a chemical change or a physical change? It's physical because we haven't changed our substances. The ice has just turned into liquid. And so but it's still water molecules. Number 2, they have a clear liquid A and a clear liquid B, and then they mix them. And you can see in the second picture, there's small solid particles in the bottom of the test tube. And in this case, the event that's occurring is a precipitate formed. So if you remember, precipitate forming is one of our clues that a chemical change occurred. So in this case, it is a chemical change. Number 3, there is a white powder that is going to be dumped into a clear liquid. And in the second picture, you can see that there's something sitting in the bottom of the beaker, and there's some little bubbles that are coming off here. I think you can see it on your printed version a lot better than you can see here. So in this case, gas bubble formation is the event. And if you remember, this is one of our clues for a chemical change. So this is a chemical change. Number 4, picture showing a white powder being added into a test tube that has red liquid in it. And afterwards, the liquid is now blue. So what event is occurring? Well, we have a color change. So the question for you is, this is an expected color change or is this an unexpected color change? So if you mix red liquid with white powder, you would expect to end up with something red or white or pink. But since you end up with something blue, it's unexpected. So this is an unexpected color change, which makes it a chemical change. Number 5. Looks like they have a scoop of something that they're going to put into a beaker. And in the final picture, there's just the beaker with the liquid in it. So the event that's occurring is the powder is dissolving. And is dissolving a chemical change or a physical change? So it is a physical change. Number 6. You have something in here. It looks like a tablet. You can kind of think maybe it's an ibuprofen, aspirin, Tylenol or something. And in the mortar and pestle, they go ahead and looks like it's ground up. So the event is the object was ground into tiny pieces. And this is a physical change. Number 7. You have liquid at 25 degrees C and another liquid at 25 degrees C, and when you mix it, it becomes 60 degrees C, and it looks like they're showing here that maybe some kind of gas or something is given off. So if you mix something at 25 and with something else that's at 25, you would expect that whatever resulting mixture you had would be at 25. Unless you had a reaction occurring. So in this case, there is a temperature change occurring and it is unexpected. So that makes this a chemical change. Number 8, we have magnesium ribbon and a Bunsen burner. And you put the magnesium ribbon here near the Bunsen burner and you get a bright light. So here we're giving, the event is that light is given off. And that's one of our clues of a chemical change. And this is something that I'm hoping when we get back to the lab, you'll actually get to do. If that doesn't happen very soon, I will probably do something like this at home so you can see that. Number 9, there's a test tube with water over a Bunsen burner, so it's getting heated. And it looks like in this test tube, it is starting to bubble up and some gas is here in the tube. So the event is boiling, and that is a physical change. So number 10, give one more example of a chemical change that you might witness in the lab but is not pictured in a diagram above. So go ahead and write something on here, and I look forward to seeing some of your answers. Blue packet, page 11. So this is one for you to do as classwork. So go ahead and work on this. Pause the video so you can work on it. And again, you're going to end up with another pun here at the end. The question was, why was the turtle shy at the party? So moving on to elements and compounds and additional classification of matter. And this is material that you read in 3.3 and 3.4. So here I need you to skip a few pages in your packet and go to page 15. I think starting here makes it a little bit easier. So the information on the next couple of slides is for you to fill in these boxes on this page. And we'll talk more about these pictures that are down here next time. So pure substances is any type of single type of material. So under your pure substances box, write a single type of material. So you're writing that right here, single type of material. Then under elements, you're going to write cannot be broken down any further. Under compounds, you're going to write can be broken down into 2 or more different elements. And I suggest you write this example down there. Oxygen is not considered a compound, O2, because it only contains a single element, oxygen, even though it contains 2 of them. So under mixture over on the other side, you're going to write mixture is a type of matter that contains more than one kind of particle. So over here, write contains more than one type of material or particle. Under solutions, write the word homogeneous mixture. And in the box, write cannot see the different parts. Under mechanical mixtures, write the word heterogeneous. And in the box, write can see each type or can see different parts. So talking about these for a moment. This is an element. It is a single elemental compound. This is water, which, as you all know, the formula is H2O. It contains 2 different elements, hydrogen and oxygen, and so this is a compound. You wouldn't know by looking at this that it is an element because you don't know which element it is, but you don't need to know just from a picture whether it is an element or not. You're going to look at formulas and pictures. Regarding different mixtures, so when you look at homogeneous mixtures, if you were to look at the metal of this whole tire wheel rim, all of the metal parts would look the same. However, if you look at the fact that all these pieces are going to be different colors, this is actually considered a heterogeneous mixture. As well as pizza. You can see each thing that's in the pizza. Looks like a Hawaiian style pizza with ham or Canadian bacon and pepperoni and cheese and crust. So you can actually see all the different parts that are making this up. So let's do a few examples. This is backing up in your packet on page 12. So in here, I'm going to do a few of these. I'd originally thought I'd do 1 through 5 and 14. I think I'm going to do a few more because I'm doing pretty well on time. So number 1 is actually over here. So you're going to try to classify each substance as either a compound or an element. And to reveal the hidden image, you're going to shade in the elements black and leave all the compounds white. So it's good to go ahead and identify all of the compounds and elements and then go back and do the shading in. And I think you'll like the picture. It's kind of cute. So for table salt, NaCl, it contains 2 different elements, so it's a compound. Iron, Fe, is an element. Carbon is an element. Argon is an element. Octane, CaH18, is a compound. Bleach is obviously a compound containing more than 2 elements. Caffeine is a compound, contains more than 2 elements. Mercury is an element. Water is a compound. Lead is an element. And then I'm going to skip on down to number 14. Hydrogen. Hydrogen has only hydrogen in it, even though it has 2. So it is actually an element. So pause the video for a few minutes and finish these up, and then later on come back and color it in. And you really do want to kind of shade this in black. You can just use your pencil, that's fine. And when you take a picture or scan it, I'll be able to tell if you got the picture right. Next page, page 13. So here we have a couple of more examples. These are now mechanical mixtures versus solutions. We will do more of these next class, but I wanted to at least do a few of these together and have you then work on some more of them. You'll work on plenty of them next class. So here, remember, this is actually flipped from your table, your chart that you do on. Solutions are homogeneous, and every little bit of it that you look at looks like everything else. Mechanical mixtures are heterogeneous, so it all looks different. So clear apple juice is a solution. It all looks the same. Pizza, as we saw before, is a mechanical mixture. A couple of other ones here that are challenging. Brass is actually a solution. Brass is a metal. It's kind of the color of bronze. And if you look at it, it all looks the same. Orange juice. So the answer here, orange juice can have pulp in it or no pulp in it. And they really want you to consider orange juice that has pulp in it. So not every spoonful of the orange juice will look like any other spoonful because they might vary in the amount of pulp that's in there. I think all of the rest of these, except for, number 9, solder. Solder is also a metal wire, and the wire all looks the same, so it is actually considered a homogeneous solution. And your question here is, what did the grape do when it was stepped on? And you should end up with a kind of another little pun. So that's all the new content for today. So for your classwork grade today, there's quite a few pages for you to submit. These include blue packet pages 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 15, and pink packet page 23. I'm going to be emailing out some additional guidelines regarding this and try to see if we can standardize a little bit more on how we're submitting these to PowerSchool. In addition, again, appreciate the survey results that all of you guys sent. The link for today's survey is also on P-Learning, as well as it will be in the email that I send you on Sunday, but here it is. in case you want to type it in. So your homework due Monday, or sorry, it should not say Monday, it should say Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and fix that right now. So this is due Wednesday, the 25th at 8 a.m. So you're going to be submitting via PowerSchool the last section of 3.5, reading notes and self-check, and just a couple of questions, 33 through 35. I'm also posting on P-Learning a lab called Thickness of Aluminum Foil, which I am planning on doing later on this week. And I'm going to ask you guys to print the lab out and read the background, goals, and materials. If you can't print, but you can look at it on the screen, copy the information from the document onto a sheet of paper. You do not need to write out all the background and the goals and the materials, but you do need the data table, so you'll be able to write in it. So you're going to want to fill in the first column like there is on the sheet, as well as write those 6 questions on a sheet of paper, leaving space between them in order to record your information. So if you can't print, for right now, this time, we should be able to make do with this. So looking ahead to later in the week, Wednesday, we are going to be finishing up the blue packet, which means that I need to start thinking about getting you the next packet. So there's a question on your survey about printing. If you are not able to print items, I really need to know ASAP so I can figure out how many students that I'm going to actually need to deliver the packet to or mail them to or come up with some other way of doing it. I am not sure. I kind of like this packet. If you don't have it in front of you, I think it's more challenging. Also, I'm going to review your tests from last week, discuss answers and how to improve your grade and things. I'm working on some separate little videos about this, and I will be posting some of those to Edpuzzle for you guys to watch. Friday, I'm going to be doing the thickness of the aluminum foil lab with you, and you will need that printout or the written information on a sheet of paper. I'm still not quite sure about assessments for this chapter. I have a few ideas, but part of it does depend on when we do return to school and what that looks like. There's a number of things in this section, this chapter, that are kind of important. You really do need to know those 5 changes of a chemical reaction. You need to know, obviously, solids, liquids, and gases, things that we're talking about, the difference between physical, chemical properties. So there's a number of things here that you need to know. I'm not quite sure still about what might be a good way of you showing me that you understand this, especially when we can't be together. So I'm still thinking about that. If you have thoughts, feel free to share them with me. And that's the end of my PowerPoint. So again, ladies, I really do miss getting to see you and having an idea of what you're understanding and interacting with you and having you answer questions and having you read questions. So I'm really hoping that we get a chance to get back together here again really soon, because it's kind of awkward just talking to my computer while I'm recording this. But ladies, until I chat with you guys on Wednesday, stay safe. Try to keep on moving ahead. You are doing great. And send me a note anytime that you need something or if I can help you out. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Take care.